fantastic. It didn't work. Anyhow, I've been thinking about God's love as we've gone through the Christmas season. Hope, joy, peace, and love. As I pointed out the last few weeks, you can't have one without the other. If you begin to have hope, it starts putting some joy in your life because you realize that there's a better way of life than just falling apart every day of the week. If you begin to have hope, that joy comes a little bit. And once you have that joy, you begin to have some peace because you realize you can make it through this life, that there's a higher power, God, who's going to help you through. But it all comes about because of God's love. John 3:16, for God so loved the world. As I've been thinking about love, I've been thinking about what little kids and sometimes even teenagers do. They'll take a flower and start pulling the petals off. He or she loves me, they love me not. They love me, they love me not. And if they get to the end and they didn't get the answer they really wanted, they'll pick up another flower and go back at it. He loves me not. She loves me not. Kind of a ridiculous way to think about love and to figure out this whole thing of love. I sometimes think that love is an overused word. We love, see if you remember this, baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. That was a commercial from 1970. It was used again in 1975, and believe it or not, again in 2015. We love baseball. I wish I could remember the tune. Baseball, can you? And Chevrolet, thank you, yeah. Love. What is love? Love is an intense feeling of deep affection. Now, I love apple pie. I don't necessarily love Chevys. I drive a Dodge. I don't mind watching baseball and hot dogs. I can't stand anymore. So I don't have that deep feeling of affection towards those things. But love is a deep, intense feeling of affection. It's a great interest or pleasure in something. It's feeling a deep romantic attachment to somebody. These are all good, and we go to extremes to protect the ones that we love and to stand up passionately for things that we believe in and enjoy doing. But when I think about this earthly love, it pales in comparison to God's love. For God so loved the world that He did what? He gave His only Son. I've been thinking about that. Jesus Christ came to earth as a baby. I have a picture. Kurt's going to get up there in just a second. Jesus Christ, a baby. I want you to stop and think about what that meant for Jesus Christ. He was the Son of God Almighty. He was up there in heaven with God Almighty. They were there together ruling this universe. God had tried a number of different things to bring man back to Him, and none of them had worked. And He finally said to Jesus, Son, will you go to earth? Will you represent us on earth? I want you to stop and think about what that meant. Jesus came as a baby, wrapped in swaddling clothes. Stop and think about what swaddling clothes meant. I heard a description of it the other day, and then I did some further reading on it. Swaddling clothes are literally taking strips of cloth and wrapping them real tight around the baby. I saw some pictures of babies in hospitals just recently, and one showed them all dressed up in Santa Claus. But they were all wrapped tight. They wrap them tightly, number one, so they feel secure still. They've come out in this horrible world, and all of a sudden, they need to feel secure. So baby Jesus, show the picture, Kurt, was wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. Now, we think of this grand, glorious story of Jesus, the baby, lying in this hay-filled manger. And if you look at it that way, I want you to stop and think about what a manger did full of hay. What did the animals do in that hay, that manger? They ate. Their hay was there. They ate. I want you to stop and think about Jesus Christ coming and saying, I am the bread of life. It's kind of fitting he laid in that manger. Others have said that the manger was a stone trough, perfectly white, so they know when it was perfectly clean, and they would fill it with water so the animals could drink. I want you to stop and think what Jesus Christ said about himself. I am the water of life. That kind of puts a new twist on things. God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that whoever believes in him will not perish, but will have the bread of life, will have the water of life, will have the air he needs to breathe, will have everything he needs. God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world. We have a hard time getting a grasp of that. Because the first thing we want to do if something goes wrong is condemn it. The first thing if somebody blows it in life is we want to condemn them and almost annihilate them because we're human. But Jesus Christ came not to condemn the world, but to save the world, to lift us up. And that wasn't the end, because it's a continuing process day after day after day after day. I found at least 12 strong scriptural references to our relationship with God as friends and how he cares for us. And there's many more, but I ran out of time. Let me share a couple with you. Ephesians 2. God is so rich in mercy, and he loved us so very much that he brought us back into friendship with him through love. Ephesians 3:19. May you experience the love of Christ, though it is so great you will never fully understand it. Then you will be filled with the fullness of life and the power that comes from God. Wow. But stop and think, it all started on a simple night with a simple birth. Jesus Christ sacrificing his life in heaven to come down to this earth to be a helpless baby, having to be taken care of others for a few years, having to grow up, having to go through everything that a human being could possibly go through for one purpose, so he could express God's love to us. It was a holy night. And that can continue in our personal lives daily, with God giving to us what we need every day to walk this earth with him and do it spiritually successful. Think about that holy night as we sing.